Hello everyone, my name is Andrew here with the Auto Informant, and today we're going to be talking about the 2020 Mercedes-Benz GLB250 4MATIC. This is a crossover I have been excited about because I own a small video production company and I have been acquiring a lot more equipment lately, so it doesn't quite fit into my little sedan. I have been looking at crossovers, SUVs, wagons, things like that, sort of not in a serious capacity, but anytime a brand new model comes out in the crossover slash SUV or wagon segment, it gets me excited. Of course, if you've seen anything on my channel, you'll know that I am a Mercedes-Benz enthusiast, so this is even more exciting for me. So without further ado, let's get right into the review. But before we get started, I want to give a special shout out to Mercedes-Benz of Wilsonville. They are the ones who loaned me this GLB250. They are the only AMG performance center in the state of Oregon. They have a very massive and very diverse inventory. So even if you're not local, their website is worth checking out. Link to that in the description below. They also just started a YouTube channel full of amazing content, AMG cars, and the latest models from Mercedes. So check that out also in the description below. So the first thing I want to talk about in this review is the headlights on the GLB. Something that has always bothered me about modern Mercedes-Benz, particularly in the GLA, the CLA, and the C-Class, and even the GLC, is that when you bought a base model, they equipped them with halogen headlight bulbs. Now, this is mostly the vein in me coming out, but I just always thought the halogen headlight bulbs looked kind of cheap on a Mercedes-Benz. And I feel like if you're buying a three-pointed star, you should at least be getting headlight technology from this decade. Maybe that's just me. Some people are probably going to disagree because, you know, halogen technology is cheaper. You can go down to Walmart and get a headlight bulb and replace it. So that's sort of the advantage. And when an LED, you know, light like this goes out, they pretty much just tell you need a brand new headlight, which is very expensive. But I prefer to have the more modern technology. I like having these LED daytime running lights with LED turn signals. And the fact that this is standard now on the CLA, the GLA, the C-Class, and all the models now is a huge benefit, in my opinion, and a step in the right direction. So kudos to Mercedes. Okay, moving on from talking about headlight technology real fast, let's talk about something more interesting, like the exterior design of the GLB. The reason why we're pointing the camera this way first, because I'm going to talk about the taillights, which I actually dislike. I feel like it makes the GLB look like it's pouting almost, like it's unhappy to be here. It's not as bad as, let's say, like the Pontiac Aztek or even the new front grille on the Toyota Avalon, but it's not my favorite rear end design of any Mercedes. I feel like the GLE and the GLC are much better looking from the rear. And now, with that being said, the rest of the GLB, in my opinion, looks great. It is more boxy, which some people aren't a fan of, but I am. It also has an advantage on interior space, which we'll talk about in a little bit because it is boxy. And yeah, the headlights look great. I feel like the side profile looks good. All around a good looking vehicle. Just, you know, maybe the taillights. Taillights are not my favorite. Okay, moving on to the interior of the GLB. I feel like this is actually where it shines the brightest because I remember driving the GLA and the CLA when they first came out and thinking, wow, these feel really cheap on the inside, especially for having a three-pointed star on the grille. Fast forward to the new GLB and the new CLA class. They're completely different cars, right? They still use plastic, but like this plastic, for instance, right here, that's supposed to mimic black piano wood, feels pretty good. These vents have a nice tactile click to them when you open and close them, and then when you're adjusting them, they have a nice resistance, and they feel very premium. We're still using plastic here in the center console, but again, it doesn't feel as cheap as the CLA. They've done something different here. I don't know what it is, but it feels better. We do have a little bit of metal here on the pad for the infotainment, which feels pretty good, and this little handrest is nice plastic as well. We are using MB-Tex in here, which is a synthetic leather, but I do think that MB-Tex is a good enough material that it doesn't make me want leather necessarily. Now, moving on to some of the options that this GLB has, because the interior is actually where most of them are on this particular model. The first one is a premium package, which comes with these dual 10.5-inch screens in the dash. It also comes with keyless entry, which I feel like keyless entry should be standard at this point, especially since other manufacturers like Toyota are introducing that as a standard feature. But anyway, it's a part of this package. The dual 10.5-inch screens are amazing. We have a touchscreen here for the infotainment system, and then a nice screen right here in front of the driver's view. They're both fully customizable. You can set themes. You can tell this screen right here what you want to see on it. We also have the touchpads here on the steering wheel, which are pretty nice to interact with these two screens. We also have optional heated seats, which I feel like is a little ridiculous. I feel like heated seats should be a standard feature in 2020 on every Mercedes-Benz model. Now I get that not every climate, like obviously in Texas or Florida, like you're gonna need heated seats. Anyway, that's an added option here. They do work very well. We also have 64 color ambient lighting in here, which not a necessary option at all. But if you're like me, it's sort of cool to have, and I like having ambient lighting, so definitely something I would spring for. We have standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is nice. So no matter what, you're gonna get those features, and they do work very well on this system. We also have a panoramic sunroof. Now, not everybody's going to want to spring for that. It is a fairly spendy option. I do like having it because if there's people in the back or even in the front that want to have a little bit more light in, or if they feel a little claustrophobic, it's nice to have that ability to open up the front and the rear. Okay, now we're sitting in the rear of the GLB, and we can see how much space is in this vehicle, and it's actually quite a bit. I have this seat here back quite a bit further than I have the driver's seat. I'm about 5'10½", and I still have plenty of legroom here, and even headroom too. I'd say you could probably be about 6 foot and be safe back here, even with this dual pane sunroof. But a cool thing about the GLB is right now we have the seat all the way back, so we have less cargo space. But let's say we need more cargo space and we don't care as much about legroom back here. Well, we can move the seat forward, and now we've got quite a bit more space back there. Obviously my legs are hitting this, but you know, if you have smaller kids in this seat and then you have a ton of stuff back there for a road trip or something, it's kind of a perfect solution. And then if you have people back here who are a little taller and you need less space back there, well, there you go. You just slide the seat back, and we've got plenty of legroom now. All right, so the next thing I want to show you guys is the storage capability of the GLB, because, well, this is a little selfish. I want to see if this thing will work for my business, obviously. So when you fold these seats down, you pull this little strap here, and you know how normally when you have one of these little center armrest seats going on, you have to pull the strap here, and then you got to pull the strap for that one, and then pull the strap for the other side. Not here. You pull this strap, and both of these seats go down. Now we do have to go on the other side and pull a strap for that one, but I thought that was neat that when you pull the strap for this side, it does indeed disengage the center seat as well, which is super nice. And down goes this side. Oh, gotta put the headrest down first. No, actually, I'm wrong. This seat is too far back. Let's move it forward. Let's try that again. And pull. There we go. Now she lays down. Now it's not like 100% flat, I would say, but it's pretty close. Okay, so back to what I was saying about this thing being square. It actually is an advantage here when you're loading, because if you notice, these little side, I don't know what we call it, the gasket or the opening to the door is very vertical. So whatever you can fit down here, you can generally fit up here as well. I mean, I think it's probably, I don't know, maybe an inch or two, maybe here, but then it starts to curve here. But I mean, for a majority of the opening of this door, you're able to fit everything relatively well, and things stack really nicely in here. Obviously, these aren't like perfectly square and like the same size, but you kind of get the idea of like how nice it is to have a more boxy design in a car. It just makes loading in and out and stacking things so much easier. And in case you're interested, here is the guts of the GLB250. It is a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, 221 horsepower, and 258 pound-feet of torque. We'll talk about what that feels like here in the road test. Okay, on to the driving portion of our program today. And I want to say that the GLB has been a great performer so far. I have actually really enjoyed driving this, and what I look for in a car is something that sort of just does its job without me having to think about it very much. You know, there's a time and a place for a car that has character and is a lot of fun to drive, don't get me wrong. The GLB has no surprises. It does exactly what you want it to do when you want it to do it. You know, the 221 horsepower through the 8-speed is a pretty good combo. The transmission has been relatively smooth, and you know, when I need the acceleration, it downshifts and gives it to me. So there is a Comfort Eco Sport mode. There's also an off-road mode, which gives you a 50-50 torque split, which is pretty nice to have for any kind of situation where you might need that. I also really like the suspension on the GLB. It seems to be pretty much right where it needs to be. It's relatively soft, but you know, it does take some bumps harsh here and there, but not too bad. It handles really well, and the steering is fine. I mean, it's electric, so what do you expect? It's not going to be the best in the world, but it's there and it works. But the crown jewel, obviously, for any modern car is its technological prowess, or lack thereof in some cases. The GLB definitely delivers. This particular GLB has standard active braking assist. All right, I need to stop the video right here because I am actually wrong. The GLB does not have an active braking assist feature standard, rather an alert system that is standard. So if you're approaching the car in front of you too quickly, an alert will come up on the dashboard as well as an audible beep, and it'll turn down the music you're currently listening to make you more aware of your surroundings, but it doesn't actually stop for you. I was wrong about that. I apologize, but now we can continue on with the review. It also has attention assist, which basically screams at you if it feels like it's, or if it feels like if you aren't performing as well as you should, or if you're not paying attention to the road. Kind of neat, but there are some features that aren't standard. That's kind of a bummer, like the blind spot assist. I mean, come on, Mercedes, it's 2020. Let's just include blind spot assist in all the cars. I think that by now, that should be a standard. There's other features that this GLB doesn't have that are optional, like active lane keeping assist and Distronic or active or adaptive cruise control. That's another feature I wish that this GLB had. If I were going to go out and buy one right now, I would certainly order one with it. With that being said, Mercedes has one of the best semi-autonomous systems on the market right now. And if you're going to be ordering a GLB, I highly suggest that you order your GLB with those features. So what do I think about the GLB? Well, if you haven't already been able to tell, I really like it. This is an awesome car, a great all-arounder. And if you're trying to get into, you know, a three-pointed star car like a Mercedes-Benz, this is an awesome way to get introduced into the brand. It has most of the features that you would expect from Mercedes, although some of them not standard, you have to option them in, but it does have most of the features that you would expect. It drives pretty nice, and also, I forgot to mention this, but you can option the GLB with a third row seat. It's nice to know that you can get a third row in such a tiny car like this, and if you're leasing one of these, you know, you can get one of these for 3 years or whatever, and then once you grow out of this and you can get into something like a GLE or a GLS, a little bit of a price gap between this and the GLS, but you know, maybe you hit the lottery or you got that big promotion and you can get the GLS, or make your kids pay for it. That's what I would do. Well, I hope this video has helped you if you're in the decision-making process looking at the GLB250. And even if you're not in the market, I at the very least hope this video was, you know, mildly entertaining and informative for you to watch. If it was, please hit that like button down below. It helps me out a ton. If there's anything about this car that I didn't discuss as in depth as you hoped, or maybe that I outright didn't cover, we can start that conversation down in the comment section. I'm also available on Facebook and Instagram. I'll leave links to those down below. Anyway, guys, that's been it for the GLB250, and I'll catch you in the next video.